Alright, this video is going to show you how to connect a skirt or pant hook and eye. Now, as you can see, the skirt hook, I'm just going to put this right on my table here. The skirt hook is a lot wider. Typically it is used on waistbands. They are strong, like the skirt hook and the pant hook compared to the regular hook and eye are stronger and more flat, as you can see them by looking at it from the side angle here. That hook lays very flat, and they are designed so that the hook cannot easily slide off of the eye. So if we were to go ahead and hook these into one another, it really is a tight fit. If I can even get it on there right now. It's a real tight fit so that it doesn't easily slide off because you don't want to lose your pants. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to place the hook part in that third quadrant that we have sectioned off for our overlap. And so just to remind you how these overlap, 1 1/4 inches. And I was looking through the directions on your construction packet, and it said to place the hook about a 1/2 inch in. So I'm just going to center it in this third quadrant a 1/2 inch in. And you were supposed to do that for your first hook and eye, but I think I just misinterpreted it because I actually placed the back end of the hook at a 1/2 inch and the front end at about 1/4. So it's not a big deal at all. What is important is that we line up our hook and our eye when they go to overlap each other. So don't worry about it if it's not placed at a 1/2 inch in. I think that there's some room for interpretation there, and it's really up to you and the fabric that you use and the place upon which you place this hook and eye for how it can be done. Now again, where you're going to place it at. So again, we want to make sure that we're only attaching it to one side of the fabric. I'm just going to flip it over so you can see that we don't have any threads showing on the front side of our fabric. And I'm just going to hold the hook part in place and then run my needle along the inside, if I can, along the inside of my 2 layers here, and I'm going to grab the center back hook and then pull my my thread through so that it knots pretty well. Alright, so then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this up. I'm going to go ahead and just poke this through one layer here. I can still see my mark, so I know where that quadrant ends. So I'm just going to open that up, and I can still see where my crease line is, or my fold line. And I'm just going to make sure that that's lined up about in the center there, and go ahead and whip stitch this into place. Now what I'm doing is I'm holding this hook in place with my left finger, just so that it doesn't jump around a whole lot. And I've got about four whip stitches done here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump up to this to the top holes right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down underneath to where my stitching has already taken place, and then I'm going to try to pop it up and come through one of those holes. Now if you can't get it, if you can't get it to kind of pop up, go ahead and go down into that fabric and then come back up with a straight stitch instead of trying to kind of do a pop up and down. Now make sure that the edge of that hook is fairly parallel to that crease line. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to whip stitch both of these little, and it really depends on your style of hook. Mine have 2 holes along the top and then 1 on the side. Maybe yours just have one hole here. So go ahead and whatever design your skirt hook is, just go ahead and whip stitch that into place. And if you have 2 holes, you could probably even do like an X if you wanted to. And then when you get those done, you're going to go back into the fabric And I'm going to go ahead and pull my thread through so that it comes, and then I'm going to pop it up, just insert my needle on the bottom edge so that it goes through the bottom holes here. And then I'm gonna flip my sample around so that I can whip towards me. And you're just going to whip stitch this into place. Again, I'm going to go ahead and do a cross, a little X. So I did one whip into the left hole, and then I'm going to cross my my thread so that it comes forward, and then I'm going to go back over to that left hole and do a whip stitch there. Oops. My thread got caught on my needle head, my pin head there. Alright, and then I'm just going to go back to the right hole, just crisscross over, and you're just kind of making a little X. What you just want to make sure is that this this hook is secured to the fabric. Okay. Alright, then when you're done, just going to put your needle back down into that fabric, and then come to the back side and knot that off. Okay, and then you're going to trim those thread tails. Now it looks like when I was doing this, there must have been like a knot that happened on the back side. So what I might do after the video is I might go and fix that, because I didn't realize that there was some loose threads back here. So if I would just, hopefully you can feel that with your hands on the back side. I didn't, but hopefully you won't have any loose threads. Typically, you know, when you sew this on, your waistband is already going to be closed, so if you do have any sort of loose threads, you won't even see it, but I'm sure that because you're whip stitching around all these edges, you won't have any problem with it coming loose. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just fold that back and pin my quadrant area into place, and then I'm going to overlap this at my markings of 1 1/4. Then I'm going to flip up my edge to see where that sits, where that hook sits down at. And then I'm going to place a pin just right along, hopefully you can see that there, right along the edge of that hook. So I'm trying to insert my needle right where the edge of the hook starts, and then I'm going to pop it out about right where the edge of that hook stops. Okay. And then what this should be is this should be about 1/2 inch from the edge. Let's see where I'm at. I'm a little bit farther, and I think that's because I placed it along the edge of the hook, and I need to just move it inward the tiniest bit. So I'm going to move it in towards that fold line, maybe about a 1/16 of an inch or so. So I mean just real close there. I'm going to go ahead and measure this again by layering them on top and then flipping it up just to see how that will align, and everything is still pretty good. Okay, so then what you're going to do is you're just going to attach your hook, or your eye, sorry about that, your eye section. And again, since make sure that you have a knot at the end here, and we just want to pretty much ride this eye right over the area that you have identified as the matched up connection point. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the back side and put my needle up through the top, and I'm just going to start at the top part of my eye and just do a quick whip stitch in each of those. Now again, depending on the design of your skirt hook, you might have 1 hole, you might have 2 holes. It might be rounded, it might be more squared, so it's whatever design you have, you just need to make sure that it's secured down in place. Alright, I did 3 on that side. I'm just going to go and do 3 on this side, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull this pin out that was marking that, just so there's no extra bulk that's kind of causing things to jumble around. Okay. And then when you're done, again, you're going to, I think I have one thread that's a little bit longer than the other. Okay. Then when you're done, you're just going to insert that thread into the back side. And then make sure that this stays fairly parallel to this folded edge. And then you're just going to insert your needle from the back side to the front, grabbing a hold of the bottom edge of that eye. So I'm going to just gently align that. I'm going to flip it around so I can hold it with my left hand a little bit more securely and stitch with my right. And I'm just going to try to make sure that the eye part is parallel to the folded edge. It's kind of hard to do because my big thumb keeps getting in the way. Alright. And again, we're just going to whip this into place with a couple whip stitches here. If I don't have like everything that's involved with this sample get in the way. And actually what I can do is I can take out this pin, which might help since I'm through with that kind of quadrant area. Alright, and then I'm just going to jump over to that other hole and stitch that into place. Alright, and then when I'm done, I'm just going to put my needle back down to the underneath side. And I'm just going to make sure that things are knotted on the back side, and then I'm going to do a double knot here to make sure things are secure. And then I can trim off those thread tails. Oops, the pin to help me out. Alright, we can go ahead and trim these up, and I'm going to double check to make sure everything is squared away. Okay, let's go ahead and just hook everything in just for the sake of seeing how things are still lining up. And for that hook, the skirt hook, it's going to, at least on my design, it almost like wants to kind of catch into place. Alright, and things are lining up pretty well here. There is a little bit of just like bulk difference between the different types of hooks and eyes, so don't worry that your sample may not lay flat just because we're using a variety of different hook and eye styles. So that is your skirt hook and eye. So just make sure that you're labeling all of these samples as you go, or when you're done, and then we just have a snap left.